Let's begin. This is The Block. I am your host, Kyle Johnston. It's for the late night addicts, the early morning coffee drinkers, all you handicappers, you sports lovers, people who like to dive into some pulp culture. This is all for you. Remember, you can find my work on Twitter at KJ_TheBlock. Find my work on my blog site, KyleJohnstonTheBlock.wordpress.com. It's been a couple days. Had a few days to soak in the embarrassment that is England. Like, I thought the Brexit was just, so people who didn't understand what the fuck they were doing voting. Even though, right on England, right on, man, 2016, man, somebody had to step up. I love their guts. I would have voted to fucking leave as well. But the Brexit didn't mean to fucking leave the Euro 2016 England. Like, the trickle-down effect shouldn't have happened. So what did you do? Look at home and say, all right, we checked out of Europe. Now it's time for us to check out of Europe? Because you basically had your bags fucking packed. Basically, you guys should have been running around the pitch with your cell phones out checking your fucking plane schedules. When's your plane departures? Basically what you should have been doing out there, because you didn't fucking accomplish anything on the pitch. Anything. Now it's a long devoted England supporter, diehard England supporter since 2002. Really, to be honest with you, 2002 is really when I became an England supporter. I've seen some good times. I've seen a lot of bad times. And I can tell you one thing, like I told you earlier. One thing that we have, the common denominator in any major tournament, the common denominator is it's going to be a painful exit for England. And it always is. It's never just a loss. It's always a painful one. And this experience, well, what can I say? Like, I tweeted out about 10 minutes after we went down 2-1. I was just like, how the hell did we manage to screw this up? A penalty 5 minutes into the match, 7 minutes into the match, whatever it was. By the 20-minute mark, we're down 2-1. By the 15-minute mark, I think we're down 2-1. How the hell did we manage to mess this one up? Our midfield was awesome. We played on pins and needles all game. The ball was hot potato. Nobody wanted to take control of the ball. Nobody wanted to use some creativity. Nobody wanted to put their fucking ass on the line. They wanted somebody else to do it. They were looking at somebody else to do it. Wayne Rooney, that was awful. By any standards, Wayne Rooney, that was awful. Like, you couldn't get by in the MLS playing like that, dude. Some of the passes that this guy was trying to attempt to create, man, and they weren't like passes that were like testing the center backs going forward. They were going sideways, getting picked off. Eric Dyer, he was tired. I give the kid credit. He was tired. He was our best player all tournament. Jack Wilshere should never have been there. And I got a Jack Wilshere jersey hanging in the closet. Should never have been there. Should never been on the pitch. It was embarrassing. I would have rather seen Danny Drinkwater. Where was Adam Lallana? Like, we had other options. Sterling showed a little bit of life in that first half, but very much on the perimeter. Very hesitant to take a guy one-on-one. Like, none of our wingers would take a guy one-on-one. And if they did, it was a typical take the guy one-on-one and go wide and try to get the cross in. Nothing creative, and they could barely get the crosses in. Harry Kane had an awful tournament. Awful tournament. I still don't understand Roy Hodgson's tactics with Harry Kane taking set pieces. Why the fuck is Harry Kane taking free kicks and set pieces? Especially when they're not shots on goal. I can understand if it's a shot on goal attempt. I really can. Give the lad a chance every now and then. But why the hell is he taking corner kicks and set pieces trying to float the ball in the area? When he should be the one in the area trying to get the fucking head or his boot on the end of the ball. It was embarrassing on all ends. The match selection, the heart, the desire. Now I just read an article about Greg Dyke, the English FA, saying they were scared on the pitch. Were they scared on the pitch? think they were scared of the media backlash. I don't think they came in. I don't think they were necessarily scared. I just don't think they knew what to do. Well, maybe they were. You know, nobody wanted the ball. I agree. Somebody was scared to step up and take control of that team. You know, like, and put it on their shoulders. Nobody did, including the manager. Good old jolly Roy Hodgson sitting on that bench. Then you see like fucking Conte fucking throwing his heart and desire in the technical box for Italy and shit. It's like, fuck, man. When's the last time you had that on the English sideline? It's been a long time. So were we scared on the pitch? To a certain extent. I think we were overconfident like usual. Played that. Everything was like usual. That's the thing. Like, how can we say we were scared when everything went typical England? You know, we've never won a game outside England in a knockout stage in the Euro Championships. Doesn't shock me. The way we play like that. That's how we always play in a knockout stage. Very tentative. Very scared. So we're always scared. It was frustrating. Very frustrating. I was very quiet during the match. Because it unfolded almost exactly like I thought I would. I didn't think it would be that quickly into the match. But hey, congratulations, Iceland. Good on Icelandic football. The fucking fans down there are fucking pumped. It's like, what, 10% of their country's down there in France right now. It's fucking wild. So good on them. They deserve it. They were the better team. They were the better team. They counterattacked when they could. They pressed forward when they could. Played fucking some pretty damn good defense. Their goals were fucking of quality. Fucking Joe Hart, man. Sloppy D, shaky goaltending. Like usual. A midfield that doesn't want to take control of the game. And strikers that weren't there from day one. Sounds like another England major tournament to me. So, like, I was in shock, but I was in, like, I wasn't even that mad. Because I kind of expected it to happen. Even though I had all this cash and wagers on England, because I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. But that brings us to Roy Hodgson and his resignation. And the English media have already jumped on who the next English manager will be. It'll probably take a little while to decide. I got a few candidates in mind, a few people who I would like, but we'll go over and see what some of the mainstream media is all over. The Independent. You know, they got Gareth Southgate, who I agree is a candidate. Former Middlesbrough manager. He's got the England under-21s. He's had a pretty good run. I think he's like a 24-5-1 or something like that as an England under-21 manager. But we tend to do pretty well usually on the under-21 level in England. He won 57 caps as an England senior player. He's got a lot of experience for a young lad. You know, he jumped right into his managerial career right after playing. I think he's definitely a candidate. Is he my top candidate? No. Saying he's a popular figure within the FA, Dan Ashworth, etc., etc. So he's got some ins. Now, they got Arsene Wenger on this list. And Arsene Wenger will not be the manager of England after his days at Arsenal. In fact, there's rumors that he might extend his Arsenal contract for a couple years, and then walk away. And why the fuck would he become manager of England when he would have the opportunity to become manager of France, his home and native country? It's not happening. So don't even waste your time, media, talking about Arsene Wenger becoming the manager of England. It's not going to happen. You'll probably have some fun with it and toy with it because, it'll take some pressure off the Arsenal situation. But he's not leaving Arsenal for a few more years. And then he'd probably have his eyes on France. So not going to happen. Big Sam Allardyce. Not going to happen. Big Sam Allardyce, as much as I like the guy, as much as I root for him, He's not going to be the manager of England. At least I hope not. He just doesn't have the style. You know, he's got some experience. I just don't like it. I don't like it. Now, I was talking about having a rah-rah guy, you know, a guy that's going to motivate us on the technical line, in the technical area, on the sideline. He would be one. Now, that's his biggest positive, in my opinion. His biggest positive is experience with the number of clubs, the number of players that he's seen coming in and out of his doors. But he'd be below Gareth Southgate, in my opinion. Laurent Blanc, not going to happen. Laurent Blanc's looking to have a pretty solid club. Domestic career, not going to happen. One guy I do like, and this is who my favorite is. I saw a couple other websites that didn't have this guy listed. Is Alan Pardew, Crystal Palace manager, former Newcastle United manager. One of, only 3 English managers in the Premier League. Eddie Howe's another one. So they're saying some of his negatives. He's never won a major trophy. Limited experience in European football. But I'm saying he's a guy that I think he can match the skill and the style of the players that he has at his hands with the raw emotion on the sideline. Like, he's going to be up pushing them. He's not going to be sitting there like jolly old Roy, you know, sending out a prayer probably. He'll be up. He'll be motivating them. He knows how to handle the media pretty well. He's my first choice, is Alan Pardew. Now, they have Jurgen Klinsmann on this list. Jurgen Klinsmann will not be the manager of England. Now, Brendan Rodgers, I think, is the second choice, in my opinion. He's taken over as manager of Celtic. Former Liverpool, former Swansea manager. You know, I want an English manager, in my opinion, as manager of England. That's who he is. The Northern Irishman. Former manager of Liverpool, former manager of Swansea. Watford, Reading. He's a young lad. He's 43 years old. I think he's ahead of Southgate, in my opinion. But I'd have him behind Pardew. And one guy that isn't mentioned in the article is Gary Neville. He'd be number 4 behind Southgate. Would be Gary Neville. Now, he's been the Roy Hodgson's assistant. He's had his hands on the English national team for the last few years. He had a little stint in Valencia that didn't really go so well. But, like, you know, it's hard for an English player. It's hard for an English manager. Ask David Moyes to make it anywhere besides the Premier League almost, especially in La Liga. La Liga is a whole different monster. La Liga, Serie A, a whole different monster. I think a Premier League manager would probably fit best in Germany, just with the style of play. But I think Gary Neville is a solid candidate. I think he's got a Roy Keane type kind of future. I wouldn't mind seeing him in charge of a domestic club or two and get his hands really wet, really on the reins of a team first. That's why I put him at number 4, behind my number 1 choice of Alan Pardew, behind Brendan Rodgers, behind Gareth Southgate, and then we'll take a flyer on Gary Neville. I don't see a foreign manager quite yet stepping in. You know, Northern Irishman's not quite a foreigner. They played God Save the Queen for their national anthem. But Yeah, much like Brazil went through the embarrassment in the World Cup, England's definitely feeling the embarrassment after this. Now, speaking of the World Cup, we'll segue that into the Euro tomorrow. The quarterfinals begin. Let me just pull this up. I got a few picks here for you. It's going to be an interesting quarterfinals. You know, it's hilarious that Portugal could easily find its way into a semifinal, and they've had an awful tournament. Awful tournament. It's a little bit of foreshadowing, because tomorrow we got Poland and Portugal kicking off the quarterfinals at the Euro 2016. I'm looking forward to it. I'm pretty pumped up. Now I'm right in the middle of moving. I got to be moving tomorrow. I might do most of the stuff tonight. We'll see. I do kind of want to celebrate my, I've been at this place, 20 months? Something like that. Did its job. I got a nicer place. I'm just trying to finalize some of the paperwork. I'm just waiting on my buddy to get some paperwork done. And then I can call the place and go over there and get it done. Hopefully it's still available. That's the problem of roommates, I guess. Something I got to learn, a little patience. But tomorrow we got Poland, Portugal. Poland came second in their group. Then they beat Switzerland in penalty kicks. Xherdan Shaqiri scored the goal of the tournament. Nobody's seen Xherdan Shaqiri's goal. His hips certainly don't lie. Now I stole that from the broadcast that's broadcasting it here in Canada. And yeah, man. That was a hell of a bicycle kick, but a half bicycle kick, three-quarter bicycle kick, almost like a scissor kick kind of deal, but top of the 18-yard box, fucking off the post and in, beat a diving keeper. It was a beautiful goal, 1-1. Now, Poland showed some signs of wear and tear. Their legs looked tired from about the 60, 65, 5th minute onward, which is not a good sign for a Portuguese team that's got a lot of talent moving forward, that likes to score on the rush, likes to score counterattacking goals that'll push the pace at certain moments in the game. And they can also control the ball and pin you in if they really feel like it. So even though Poland's had the better of tournament, I think Portugal is a big threat in this. As it stands, plus 125 for Portugal to win in full time. Plus 200 for the draw, plus 300 for Poland to take away the win in full time. The over-under in this game, of course, like usual, is 2.5 goals. The under right now is minus 250, plus 188 to the over. Now, how I'm going to set this game up is I'm going to take Portugal at plus 125 to win, but I think we're going to see some goals in this game. So I think you got a couple options. Both teams to score at plus 125, yes, I think is a very good option. I didn't click on it. I think a little bit safer option. I went down to the alternative Asian goal line, the Asian handicap, the alternative goal line. And I'm going to take the over 2 goals. That way, if Portugal win 2-0, hey, we get the push. If it's a 1-1 draw, I get the push at least. I lose the Portugal bet, but I get the push. I think Portugal's going to win this game 2-1, 2-0, in my opinion. Something like that. So I think the over is definitely going to be in play. Now, Robert Lewandowski, he's had a quiet tournament. I think going up against Ronaldo's kind of going to give him a little bit of a spark. That's why I think Poland might be able to get on the board. Now, Błaszczykowski's been their best player. Kuba, if you want to use his short form, his nickname, coming down the right wing. He scored a hell of a goal in Euro 2012 too against Russia, man. The guy steps up for his nation. He's one of my favorite to watch. That Milik, Lewandowski's strike partner, he's been an interesting forward to watch. I'm sure there's a lot of eyes from some bigger clubs around Europe taking a look at him. Wouldn't be shocked if a couple Spanish teams take a shot at him. Sevilles, Valencias of the world. And I keep watching that midfielder, Kowirchuk, or whatever, is pulling last names, man. I don't have it all up. Gregory Shuck. Let's see if I can pull it up here real quick. Gregory Krychowiak. So I know Arsenal's been linked with them. Chelsea, a couple of the bigger Premier League teams have been linked with this guy. So I've been watching him quite closely. I think he can. I think his game and his style could handle the Premier League. He's quick. He's not afraid to hang on to that ball. Picks out the right pass. He can push forward if he feels like it. Got a little bit of natural creativity in his body. I think he can handle the Premier League. I wouldn't mind seeing United taking a shot at this guy, to be honest with you. But I like Portugal at plus 125, and I like the over 2, and you're getting basically minus 110 odds on that. Now, just before I leave you here, we'll finish this up. We'll wrap it up with a little NHL talk since free agency does kick off Friday. The draft went down last Friday. Pretty happy about the Montreal Canadiens and what they did. I wanted Clayton Keller. That's who I had my eyes on. A lot of mock drafts had him going just after the Habs, around 10 to 12. I really wanted to get my hands on this guy. Like I said, he outscored Phil Kessel and Patrick Kane at the U.S. development, under 18 team. So he's got a knack for putting the puck in the net, which you need in this NHL. It's hard to come by. I wanted Alex Nylander. I think the kid's got a lot of skill in him. I think he's got a lot of poise. I love Jeans. I think one of those Nylander kids will definitely work out. What one? Still not quite sure. I thought it was a nice spot for him. It's a nice spot for him in Buffalo, too. Very good spot for him in Buffalo. Now, it came down, at first I was thinking Logan Brown, I wasn't too sold on the Russian defenseman that we ended up picking up. Sergachev, I wasn't too high, but as I read a little bit more about him, and the draft went on, I think him and Yoel Levy, the Finnish defenseman that went to Vancouver, those are the two best defensemen in the draft. I think they're both going to have pretty solid NHL career. What one's going to be better? If you had a gun to my head, I'd say the Finn, Yoel Levy. I think he's going to be solid. 6'2", power play specialist. Pretty good defensive game. He's had a lot of experience already as a young man. You can kind of say the same for Sergachev. Kind of worried that he got a little homesick and was thinking about going back home to Russia. But he did win the OHL Defenseman of the Year. So in the end, I wanted him over Logan Brown. I think Logan Brown, something bothers me about him. Foot speed, creativity. I think he depends a lot on his size right now to get things done against, guys that aren't men. So, and we got McCarron, similar body. It's a little bit further along. So, I think it's a smart pick. I think by 2021, we'll see this kid in the NHL. Johnston, he's next on the Habs' radar. I'm pretty excited about the Andrew Shaw trade. I'll take him over Lars Eller. I don't mind signing him to a deal right around $4 million for 6 years. Lars Eller was making like $3 million basically. So for $1 million and change more, I'll take the attitude of Andrew Shaw. I think he's a gamer. I think he's a winner. It's something that Montreal hasn't had for a little while. Now, we are still a little thin, Montreal. We got some work to do. We got about $8 million in cap space. $7.5, $8 million. Now, we're not going to use it all in free agency. We might see a couple veterans get moved. We'll see. But, Andrew Shaw probably on our second line with Thomas Plekanec. Pretty interesting line. So as of right now, the depth chart of the Montreal Canadiens, we got Galchenyuk, Plekanec, Desharnais, Philip Deneau, and Torrey Mitchell as our centers. Torrey Mitchell will be the fourth line center. David Desharnais's got to go. He's just got to go. Now it's going to cost us just over $1 million on our cap for the next 2 years to buy him out. Save us $2 million, just over though. Before I get to that, so that's our center depth, and we have to have Galchenyuk. We have to give him the ropes as the number one center. We have to let him fly with it. We have to. We got no other choice right now, to be honest with you. Thomas Plekanec is a better number two center. He had a really good half the season last year. Kind of fell off, as you'd say about 85% of the Montreal Canadiens fell off. But a right wing depth, Brendan Gallagher on our top line with Galchenyuk. We got Andrew Shaw now slated in with Thomas Plekanec. Sven Andrighetto with David Desharnais. Brian Flynn in with Torrey Mitchell. I don't mind it. I wouldn't mind seeing some size on that right-hand side, to be honest with you. I like Sven Andrighetto. But I don't think his role suits a bottom six role, to be honest with you. He might get away with it on that third line if you can get a big body on that other side. Or if you can get a better centerman than David Desharnais, which we'll get to. Because there's a couple prospects, a couple other guys I haven't even got to. On the left-hand side, Max Pacioretty, Daniel Carr, Paul Bryan, Stefan Matteau. Now that fourth line is Stefan Matteau, Torrey Mitchell, and Brian Flynn. Now Brian Flynn can also play the center position. I don't mind it. I don't mind having two centers on that line. You never know. It's a little bit more defensive-minded. Stefan Matteau, I wouldn't mind giving the kid a shot. He's got some size, got a little bit of nastiness to him. Got some good foot speed. He's not going to be a scoring machine, but I think he can provide a little bit of nastiness, a little toughness. If he can polish off his penalty-killing game, obviously that would help him earn a spot. Now, if you look in our AHL, we got a few bodies that are definitely going to crack that lineup and push the likes of David Desharnais, Philip Daniel, Brian Flynn, Sven Andrighetto, Paul Bryan. I don't think Paul Byron is going to be on the team, to be honest with you. I don't think Daniel Carr is going to be on the team, to be honest with you. Because we got centers down there in the AHL, Charles Hudon, Michael McCarron, and Jacob Delarose. I think two of those three are going to make it. I think Delarose is going to be our third-line center. He's got the capabilities of being a pretty good defensive third-line centerman in this league. It's time to give him a shot. And I look for Charles Hudon to make it as a winger in one of those left winger spots. I think he can put the puck in the net in the NHL level. Not on a consistent basis, but I think he can do it on a third line level. 12, 15 goals, a year. Now we look at the right wing depth in the AHL. Nikita Sherbak. He's not going to make the big club. He's going to have another year in the AHL. Wouldn't be shocked if we see him midway through the season, 3/4 of the way through the season, depending what happens. Max Freeberg, he's a little ways away. Jeremy Gregory. I'm not too familiar with him, to be quite honest with you. On the left side, Michael Bourneval. Now he's restricted. We still have to sign him. I would sign him just for depth. Because, we're going to run into a couple injuries along the way. He's got some NHL experience. He's got the speed to play in the NHL. He just hasn't been healthy. He's had concussion problems. Tim Bozon, he's just not good enough to play in the NHL. I'll leave it at that. Connor Crisp, I'm not too high on as a prospect either. Now, we got a couple of forwards prospects that have been playing over in Europe. That are, been playing the OHL or kind of make their way up. Arturi Lehkonen is very interesting. He's going to have a legitimate shot at making this squad, the Finnish winger. Same with Martin Rive. Martin Rive, I think, is the guy that can, replace Sven Agregato. I think Martin Rive is a more natural scorer. But he's in the same boat as Sven. He's a small body. He needs a good centerman and a bigger body on the other side to help create some space for him. Those are the two prospects that stand out in my mind. Jonas Natanen, he's a little ways away. To be honest with you, on the centers, Jake Evans, don't know much. Daniel Adet, don't know much. Right wingers, William Benton, don't know much. Our defensive goaltending is where is our strong point. All this talk about PK Subban, I've already went over that. He's not fucking going anywhere. Like I said, man, unless you're getting your hands on Austin Matthews or Lanny, you can basically screw off. And people, he's listening to deals, and he's the general manager of the team. He's got to listen to fucking deals. And he has to have somewhat of a working relationship with other general managers. A general manager from another team just can't call up and say, hey, I want to talk about PK Subban. And Mark Bergeron say, hey, fuck off. Or, hey, screw off, and hang up on him. Because there's going to come a day where Mark Bergeron's going to call that general manager to want to talk about a guy. So they have to have a somewhat working relationship, a working conversation, a business relationship, a personal relationship sometimes. So obviously they got to talk. Another thing is media guys like to write things off. So when you go out, you got to talk. It is what it is. So settle down, people. So our top two pairing, Markov, Subban, solid. Solid. Nathan Beaulieu grew up a lot. Nathan Beaulieu did. Paired with Jeff Petrie on our second unit, I like. Very solid. Very solid. I think it's time to give Nathan Beaulieu a little bit more of ice time. A little bit more ice time. Whether it's Jeff Petrie, whether it's Alexei Emelin, one or the other, solid. Now, our third pairing you got right now, Emelin and Greg Petrin. I wasn't a big fan of Greg Petrin. When he first came up, I was a Jared Tenorti fan. I still am a Jared Tenorti fan, and that was an embarrassment how he handled that situation. Basically got nothing for him, and we were involved in the whole John Scott fiasco. But I like Greg Petrin better than Mark Barberio. And Greg Petrin had it on a third pairing. He hasn't done anything to hurt us. He doesn't do anything to win his games either. He's very replaceable, but he's cheap at the moment. Mike Condon's our backup to Carey Price. I got no problem with that. I'd also have no problem moving Mike Condon if a couple people came sniffing and wanted to give us a half-decent draft pick. I don't think Fucale's ready yet. So with $8 million in the cap, Montreal, we got some forward depth and we need to fucking look at legitimately. Center, left wing, right wing, all of them. So, in hindsight, you want to get the best centerman you can get. That's all that matters. I don't give a shit what anybody says. You get the best centerman available. And then you'll be able to work him into your lineup. No problem. Whether he pushes Galchenyuk into the number 1 spot, and Galchenyuk back onto the wing, or whether he goes in the number 3 spot on our third line. Gotta get the best centerman available you can get. Would I like to see Steven Stamkos come to Montreal? Of course. Of course. Do I think we're going to get Steven Stamkos? To be honest with you, I think it's about a 40% chance. 35% chance that Montreal Canadiens land Steven Stamkos. I think the Maple Leafs still would have a slightly better chance. Maybe about 40-45%. I hate saying 50% and shit. Oh, it's 50. Oh, it's 99%. I don't know where Steven Stamkos goes. He's going to stay on the East Coast. Put it that way. I don't see him going West Coast. So I don't see him going Vancouver Canucks. I say there's like a 5% chance he goes to the Vancouver Canucks. Unless Vancouver Canucks offer him everything. Even some condos over down in fucking Whistler. I wouldn't mind getting a guy like Eric Stahl, the third-line center. Cheap price, but he's not going to be cheap, so it's not going to happen. He is losing some of his foot speed, but you could easily slot him in as a third-line center. You can kind of move up and down your lineup a little bit. He's got a lot of wing experience playing for Team Canada. I think he's got a little bit something left in the gas tank. I don't think he'll come play much. He's more of a Toronto Maple Leaf boy. But I'll break down the free agents that are available tomorrow. Toronto Maple Leafs. It's been pretty quiet around the Leaf camp since the drafting of Austin Matthews. I don't think they're going to be quiet come July 1st. You know, they have some cap issues, mainly being that they got to wait to get Nathan Horton on long-term injury reserve to get that $5 million or so off their cap. They got to wait to put Joffrey Lupul probably on long-term injury reserve. Get that shit off their salary cap. Would probably do something with, what's his name? That old defenseman there. Stefan Robida, you know, they'll probably try to move him either on long-term injury or try to free up some of that cap space. So the Leafs are going to go from, you know, if people are looking at, you know, cap-friendly and stuff, all these cap sites and stuff like that, they're like, why do the Leafs have like $3 or $4 million in cap and et cetera, or $6 million, sorry. Let me just double check. Well, they're saying right now on cap-friendly $3.7 million. Why do the Leafs have $4 million in the cap space? Well, it's because they got to get some guys on long-term injury reserve. And you'll quickly get a lot of cap space. So the Leafs will be interesting to watch. So unrestricted free agents. Here we go right here. Eric Stahl, Steven Stamkos, Brian Campbell. Never been a big fan of Brian Campbell. Milan Lucic. It'll be interesting where Lucic goes. Lucic can still help a team that's ready to win now. Now, in a weird way, I think he'd be a good for a team like the Edmonton Oilers because I think he's got enough experience in the league where he could show these young players how it's done, but I don't think he's too old where these young players can't relate to him. Like, he still likes to go out and do his thing outside of the game, outside of the rink. Now, he's had a couple of run-ins with media and stuff like that outside of the rink, and he's learned from it. And you really don't hear too much of Lucic, besides one or two incidents a few years ago. So, in a weird way, I think he'd be a really good mentor and a motivator for those young kids in Edmonton and stuff like that. But I don't think he's going to waste the prime time of his career. Maybe not so much the prime, but definitely, it's plateaued for Milan Lucic. Put it that way. He is what he is. And he wants to win now. So the Edmonton Oilers, that was a dumb rumor. That was stupid. I agree with Lucic. Shut up. Like, oh, I gotta leak it first. It's like, come on, get it right first. Patrick Elias, he's getting old. Old favorite. Shane Doan, yeah. I don't want 39-year-old Shane Doan. I don't need to waste any money on that. So in this cap friendly top 5, they're going by the cap hit. They're all ranked by their cap hit. So the top 5 ranked cap hit unrestricted free agents. The only one I'd really like to take a shot at is Steven Stamkos. He had a $7.5 million cap hit last year. You know, I'd offer him $9 million and $9 million cap hit. $9 million, 7 years. Here you go. I think, he'll be 34 after that. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. Shane Doan's number 6. Verbata 7. Sam Gagner number 8. Nah. Tumoruto, nah. See, like, David Backes. Now, there's a guy I would love to see come to Montreal. We could play David Backes as our first line center, our second line center. He's not really a third line center, even though his play and his style would suit a third line center. I don't think he's going to come to Montreal when he looks at the way our roster is kind of lined up, but you never know. But David Backes is the guy I'd like to take a run at, throw some money at. I still don't think he's going to leave St. Louis. He is the captain of the Blues. Andrew Ladd is a guy I wouldn't mind having on the Montreal Canadiens, but he wants $6 million a year, and I don't really want to give Andrew Ladd $6 million a year. I think he's more of a $4.5 million player. Now, I know maybe 5 because of his experience, but no more. 25 goals, 21 assists last year. $6 million for 20 goals or so. And it's not a guaranteed 20 goals. It's tough. Chris Versteeg, no thanks, really, to be honest with you. Louis Eriksson, interesting. I think Louis Eriksson would be happy playing in Montreal. I think Louis Eriksson would be a good fit in Montreal. I think Louis Eriksson would play well with Plekanec. Not the centerman we're looking for. Louis Eriksson on the same line as Sven Aggregato or Martin Rive with a good centerman in the middle. Not bad. Kyle Quincy, it's going to take a special defenseman for me, to be honestly, really to go after him. It's going to be that perfect third pairing defenseman to kind of push Petrin. Justin Schultz, no thank you. Yuri Hudler, I'd take a shot with Yuri Hudler for the right amount of money on our third line. You kind of move him up to a top 6 if he's having that good year. Obviously, he had a down year last year. Still put up 16 goals, 30 assists. I'd take a flyer on Yuri Hudler for the right amount of money. You had a $4 million cap hit. I don't think he's going to get that again. $3.5 million. Could probably handle that. Matthias Olin, defenseman, 39. Wow, can't believe he's still in the league. Haven't heard too much from him. Troy Brouwer. I like to have Troy Brouwer on my team. Mikhail Bodker. That's got Montreal Canadiens free agency written all over him. Now, he's typically been a West Coast guy through his career, but we'll see. That, to me, just stands out. Montreal signing. Am I happy about it? Not really. Extremely streaky. Shitty defensively. He's a minus 33 for fuck's sakes between Phoenix and Colorado last year. No, thank you. Kyle Okposo. Obviously, there's a guy I'd like to take a run at. He made $4.5 million last year, $2.8 million cap hit. That cap hit's obviously going up. I would like to take a shot at Kyle Okposo. I think it'd add a lot to our right wing depth. He's that big right winger I'd like to see bring in that's got some talent that would really, push a lot of people on that right side. It might even put some people in their proper positions. See who else you got down here. Paul Godstad, meh. I think his time's come and gone. Tanguay, can't believe he's still in the league. Jason Demers, defenseman. Now, there's a guy I wouldn't mind taking a run at. If the Leaf fans, Toronto Maple Leaf fans, if you're listening, and you're looking for a solid defenseman, play some minutes on the power play, move the puck pretty well, not going to cost you a whole hell of a lot. Jason Demers is the guy that I'd have circled. Darren Helm, Now there's a centerman I'd like to get my hands on. There's a guy I'd like to have as my third, fourth line centerman is Darren Helm. I don't mind Sean Matthias, former Maple Leaf last year, went to Colorado. I think he's got a lot more skill. You know, he had a couple injury-plagued years. Kind of put it together last year. I don't mind him in my bottom six. Franz Nielsen is another centerman I'd like to circle. It depends what kind of contract he wants. If he wants 4 years, $60 million or so, I'm kind of weary at that at age 32, you know? Especially when I want him playing a third-line center role, you know? Dave Darren just sucks. So it's going to be an interesting free agent period. The Vancouver Canucks, I was talking about it with my buddy the other night. I don't really know what the hell they're doing. Their fans are bitching and complaining about this and that. And you know what? You know what I tell the Vancouver Canuck fans? Just shut the hell up. Your team sucks. Your team's not going to win anything anytime soon. Now, the only thing you can complain about is your management flip-flopping back and forth, whether to rebuild or whether to go for it. And half of it's your fucking fault, the fan base, because they keep bitching about everything they do. They bitch about everything. So just shut up. You guys got to go through a little bit of a rebuild. Half your problems is Sedins. A huge problem is your Sedins. As they get older, they can't do what they used to do. Instead of eating just one contract on an aging player that's got some historical notoriety with the team, you got to eat the contract of 2 players now. Because these guys can't fucking split up. If I was management and fucking Vancouver Canuck management, I'd be going and knocking on the Sedin doors and saying, hey, we have to have a talk. Because this isn't going to work. As you guys go to your twilight years, this isn't going to work. We can't eat both your contracts. We can't do it. As an NHL franchise, we can't do it and try to win. One of you, we could probably get away with. The 2 of you, no. So you guys got to grow up. You guys got to split up. That's the other thing is, do these guys really want to win a cup? Do the Sedins want to win a cup? If they do, they're going to have to look at themselves hard in the mirror and say, hey, maybe I can finally make my wife happy and say it's time to go our separate ways. And I'm not talking about the wife and the Sedins. I'm talking about the Sedin-brother relationship. The Sedins might have to go their separate ways. It would make my wife happy, probably. Fuck. That's a huge problem in Vancouver. Obviously, Edmonton's going to try and wheel and deal. Nugent Hopkins will definitely be on the block. Yakupov, etc., etc. I think Yakupov's more of a mid-season deal. If I was Edmonton right now, I'm trying to get the best defenseman possible for Nugent Hopkins. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. But I'll end with a couple, I guess I told you I'd wrap that up. I guess I'm bullshitting. But I'm going to end here with just a couple baseball picks. Leave you with a couple sports wagers. I've been watching the Gaelic Football Association, hurling, and the football have started, and they've begun. Watched a little Kilkenny action last night in the football. If anybody not familiar with hurling in the Gaelic Football Association, go check it out. It's based over in Ireland. It's pretty interesting. Very interesting stuff. But anyways, let's fly through this quick. So on the mound tonight, on the baseball diamond, not a lot of games. I don't really like the board, to be honest with you. Don't like the board. So at 7:05, we got the Washington Nationals hosting the New York Mets, looking for a sweep. Max Scherzer's on the mound. I think it's a sweep. It's either 3 or 4. They've won the last 2, put it that way. Nationals have won the last 2. I got a lot of information and data flying through my mind here right now. Max Scherzer's on the mound for Washington. Barrett is on the mound for the Mets. Nationals are minus 230 on the money line. Over the total in this game is 8 runs. Minus 125 to the over, plus 105 to the under. I'm going to parlay the Washington Nationals up at minus 230. I'm going to parlay them up with the Cleveland Indians, who have won 11 in a row. Sorry about that. Mouse getting a little dry here. Parlay them up with the Cleveland Indians, who have won 11 in a row. They haven't lost since the Cleveland Cavaliers won the NBA Finals. Danny Salazar's on the mound for the Cleveland Indians. They're on the road in Atlanta. De La Cruz is on the mound for the Braves. Don't know much about De La Cruz. Cleveland Indians are minus 260 road favorites. Total in this game is 8 runs. I'm not quite sure who this De La Cruz guy is, but I'm going to parlay the Washington Nationals and Max Scherzer up with Danny Salazar and the Cleveland Indians at minus 260. It's like plus 105, plus 108, something like that. Throw some cash down on that and hope for the best. Late night action. We've got the Oakland Athletics hosting the San Francisco Giants, and the Oakland Athletics suck. I'm an Oakland Athletic fan. Die hard. Sean Monet is awful. Fucking just awful. Picked him up in the Zobrist trade last year. Fucking brutal. This guy can go. Starting to come around a little bit, but he's nothing but average. Nothing but average. So, the Oakland Athletics, as it stands right now, minus 135 on the money line. Giants are plus 115. Total in this game is 8.5. I like the over 8.5, sorry. Yeah, I like the over. Yeah, it is 8.5. I almost looked at the Pittsburgh line. Sorry. Total in this game is 8.5 runs. I like the over 8.5. I think the San Francisco Giants will hop all over Mania. I think the Athletics are good for a few runs off Peavy. I wouldn't be shocked if San Francisco Giants pull this game off too. So the plus 115 San Francisco Giants are definitely a barking dog tonight. And a little bit of Canadian Championship action on the pitch. I hate these live streaming things on Bet365 sometimes. So we got the Canada Championships to determine who's going to represent Canada in the CONCACAF Champions League. We got the second leg between the Whitecaps, Vancouver Whitecaps, Toronto FC. Toronto FC won the first leg 1-0 on aggregate. So they're up 1-0 on aggregate. I think we're going to see some goals tonight. Now, Vancouver, they can score goals, but they have a tendency to let in goals. You can say the same thing for Toronto FC. One of the things why I like watching these MLS matches and stuff like that, it's very entertaining. You really never know what these defenses are going to do. So I look for both clubs to come out. Vancouver needs to score a goal. No Michael Bradley tonight. He's got a little bit of a knee injury. But I like the over. I grabbed the over at minus 105. As I see right now, we've seen some movement. The over 2.5 is at minus 111. So if you like the over in the Vancouver-Toronto game tonight, hop on it right now. I wouldn't be shocked if it gets up to about minus 118, minus 120 by the end of, by the start of first kick, by kickoff. Remember, you can find my work on Twitter at KJ_the block. Find my work on my blog site, KyleJohnstonTheBlock.wordpress.com. And hey, if you're not laying the money down on the table, you're not winning.